say Dr. Fauci, and a crazy person who thinks there are chips in the vaccine.
Yes.
I'm talking about Fauci versus Dr. Martin Kulldorff.
No, but I'm saying Fauci.
Fauci versus Jay Bhattacharya. These are.
Hold on. Okay.
These
Fauci.
So that's.
I'm getting there.
So don't pretend that.
I'm on it. Fauci.
I'm on
it. Fauci, in principle, should, and most of the time does, represent the mainstream understanding of the drugs, the disease, the reactions, and the like.
The mainstream, which has been wrong about so many of it.
Well, then that's a separate conversation.
But it is a true conversation.
Hold on. So then, he represents a mainstream. It's not because he's an expert. It's because he, not only is he an expert, but that's not the issue here. It's that ideally he is conveying a community understanding of what's going on. Now, you want to put him against another person who has pedigree, Harvard, Cornell, whatever, and you're going to say there's one expert against another. That's not how science works.
So why didn't you go to Cornell?
Oh, it never really came out in my biography.
I mean...
Yeah, that never really came out.
It seems like...
I tell you, I have this reason.
We both have a connection. I took his course, Carl Sagan.
What? He was there, capital H.
He was there like for one class.
Yeah, I'm told he was.
Well, he was a star.
Absentee.
I mean, I only took it because I saw him on the Tonight Show. And I was like, wow, I could take a course with this guy?
Yeah, Carl Sagan, for anyone who's not knowing who he's talking about.
Yes, and he's your hero, your mentor.
Yeah, he's. By the way, he's a mentor, not one-on-one, just by example. I mean, I saw what he did, how he said things, how he interacted with people, the patience that he had for people whose brains were just somewhere completely off the rails. And so I've learned a lot from that, but not because he was a direct mentor, but because he set an example that I found valuable to follow. So he, just to catch people up, in case they didn't know, I was in high school, applied to a bunch of colleges. Yeah. Cornell was one of the ones I was accepted to. And unknown to me, the admissions office must have sent my application to him, saying, here's someone we want to attract. Can you do anything about it? He sent me a letter. I'm a 17-year-old high school kid in the Bronx. Said, Dear Neil, I understand you're considering colleges. Are you considering Cornell? If you want to come visit, come by. I'll give you a tour of the labs. You can find out you make a decision.
But how did he know that you were this prodigy?
My application to college was dripping with the universe.
Okay, right.
And it wasn't because of him. I was natively.
So he wasn't. It wasn't just like a shot in the dark. He was like, I see that this kid is the one.
I had telescopes since I was. I walked
but you
dogs.
Put it in the application.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he read something of yours and went, "Whoa, who is this?"
Oh yeah, I was in the astronomy club.
Phenom.
Yeah,
right.
I was on an expedition to study Stonehenge.
Right.
I had all of this stuff in my. It was my engagement with the universe was so.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back, one and all, to another episode of Random Revelations on Club Random with Bill Maher by yours truly, Dr. Nasir, on the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. So as you saw, that's what we have on tap for you today. Another episode of Bill interviewing Neil deGrasse. Let's continue with that right now.
It was a separate identity outside of whatever I was doing in a classroom. And so I had energy for it. And so he saw that and sent me this letter. Right. So the letter was not completely out of the blue. There was justification there from within the application. It was dripping with the universe. So I showed it to my mother. And she said, yeah, this is like legit. All right, let's do it. So got on a bus in December. Okay. Went up to.
Is that unbelievable, folks? You think something like that could happen today with someone of that kind of stature, a Carl Sagan, who actually, this is going back when he was like 17, so he's 65. You're talking like almost, 48, 50 years, 5 decades ago, folks, that this has occurred. That a man of Carl Sagan's stature, an absolute, you talk about brains that have been shown throughout the time and space continuum of the universe. Carl Sagan's definitely has to be right up there at the top with some of the greatest scientists and greatest intellectuals of all time. And so, like he said, he writes deGrasse a letter saying, come on up, kid, I'll show you around. I don't know if that's going to happen in this day and age, folks. I mean, I just don't. Maybe there might be that one person that does it, but I think that's just very unlikely. But how cool would that be? And then, Neil, come on, okay? His brain's right up there too. So as a 17-year-old prodigy, he's getting a letter from Carl Sagan to say, come visit him. Unbelievable. Let's continue.
Cornell, 5-hour bus ride that is. Right. And he met me outside the lab. We went in, met him and talked to him in his office. And I will never forget this. He did a no-look reach. He went back like this, and it was one of his books. And I said, wow, that's badass.
You learned that. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen, to infinity and beyond.
He did a no-look reach, and it was one of his books, and he signed it to me. Of course, I still have it. He says, to Neil, future astronomer. Okay? Then the day ran long, and he drove me back to the bus station. It started to snow, not uncommon in Ithaca, New York. And he was wondering, he said, if the bus doesn't come through, here's my home phone number.
Did he touch you inappropriately?
Leave it to Bill to come up with the zinger. Did he touch you inappropriately? And look at Neil over there. I'll tell you what, he puts his absolute brain power along with showmanship power. You may not all agree. We may not all agree with some of his assertions and some of the things, that he says. But I'm telling you what, he takes, being an astrophysicist, a scientist, and he makes it enjoyable, even though there may be things that when he starts talking, we may not completely understand. But he breaks it down, and he's an entertainer as well as an intellectual. And like I said before, there may be times when we take a look, at least I do, I know on some of his positions, like atheism, no God, whatever. Come on, folks, okay? We're religious, I'm religious. You know what? Have faith, believe in God. So there's obviously, a complete difference of opinion or diametrically opposed there. But other things, hey, you know what? But that's the beauty of being able to discuss and having differences of opinion, and where we meet, great, and where we don't, we agree to disagree. Anyways, let's continue.
Where is this going?
Yeah, come and spend the night, right? No. So
a tent. It's Ithaca in the winter.
So I got on the bus. It still came through. I've had people tell me afterwards that I should have just said the bus didn't come through and then spend the night.
Right.
But anyhow, so I didn't end up going to Cornell because here's what I did. At the time, this is like inside baseball here, but I had subscribed to Scientific American, and my favorite part was about the authors. And people who write for Scientific American are scientists, they're not journalists. So about the authors, it tells them where they went to college, where they got their master's, where they got their PhD, and where they were on the faculty. This is total information. I got all the...
Isn't that amazing? I mean, he still remembers all that thing. It's like 50 years ago, 5 decades. And he's just basically rattling off like it happened yesterday. Here's where they went to college. Here's what they wrote. Here's what they did. Here's where they went to school. Amazing, amazing.
Articles on astronomy and physics that I loved. And I made a grid for which of the schools I was admitted to had check marks from these authors.
Wow.
Where they'd gone to college, where they were. And Harvard won hands down.
Okay.
And I didn't know at the time that the Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, which is a government installation, was co-located with the Harvard Observatory. And so the numbers I was looking at was the sum of those two. But that's fine, because if you're looking for summer jobs and stuff, it's all one complex of buildings. So I said, if I go to Cornell and he leaves, so I knew enough to know that professors move around,
right.
Then I went to Cornell for a reason that then evaporates.
Right.
Whereas at Harvard, there's the sheer number of people doing astrophysics, I thought was a stable community to walk into. And so I went to Harvard.
Is it a community, or are most of your friends
We all know each other. There are not many of us.
Not many astrophysicists?
No, there's
How many?
in the world, 10,000.
Yeah.
And there's, 8 billion people. So you divide those two numbers. We're literally 1 in a million human beings on Earth.
But you,
So if you have an astrophysicist in the room with you, you better ask all your questions because you might not see another one for the rest of your life.
but isn't there things that you...
Unless you're Bill Maher, you can just summon them up out of the ether.
Well, but there's no such thing as ether. Okay,
I'm being artistically poetic.
I know.
Is that allowed?
No, well, we're both in the other category. But, well, we're combinations. You're a very creative guy in your field. I try to be. But,
In fact, just a few days ago, I went back and saw your 2003 stand-up.
Oh, wow.
In Hudson Theater in New York. It was very 9/11 focused.
yeah,
But just to remind myself of you when you were young tyke
yeah.
20 years ago.
Man, what do you know, 60?
Oh, tomorrow
Yeah.
I turn 65.
Oh,
Wow.
tomorrow?
That's my big day.
Oh, I wish I know.
No,
I would've-
I'm not broadcast. No,
I know, I
I
would've-
said it now, but no, I'm
would have
not.
baked you a cake
No,
or something.
no.
And that's a big.
Tomorrow,
and
that's a milestone. I'm getting all the mail from Medicare and and
Right.
old ARP,
Yeah.
AARP.
But it doesn't matter because look at you. You're robust. You look healthy. You look generically.
He looks good for 65. I never would have guessed. No way. I would have probably said, what? I mean, if at best he would say late 40s and, he'd probably just love you for that. But I mean, I would say, yeah, probably mid 50s, late 50s, something around there. I mean, he looks really, really, really good. I'm sure he takes care of himself. Well, he is an astrophysicist, so he probably knows what to do with his diet, I would imagine, being a scientist.
Middle age. That's as good as you can do for
And
65.
keep that for a long time. Yeah, I see.
For 65.
Uh-huh.
That is as good as you
You
can
look at
do.
old movies, all the old people are 65 in the old movies.
Yeah.
A reminder that people didn't live long back then.
Well, I'm not going to lie. It is old. It's the thing. Among old people, we're the youngest.
There you go.
That's what we got.
Okay, you tell yourself that. All right. No, but I don't feel like my behavior is not old. Like at important meetings, I still tell jokes and I spin in the board chair.
Oh.
Because they're very low friction and they're fun to spin in. And I'll drink a lemonade when everyone else is having a beer.
Well,
I'll drink a milkshake when everyone else is having some. I
mean, the reason why you're such a great communicator is because, like most people who know what you know, they're deadly dull communicating it. You.
Bill hit it right on the head. Like I said before, he communicates, and it's not just, he mixes in the science with stuff from culture, with, grabbing something from his past life story, weaves all of these different things inside there, connects with people on various levels. So even if you don't agree with him on some of his positions, you still go away saying, I like this guy. All right, so we don't agree on a lot of things, or we agree on some things, disagree on a whole lot of others, but the things we agree upon, okay, great. But on the whole, he comes off as a nice, likable, lovable guy, big old teddy bear that you can just go up there and just, give him a big hug or whatever. I mean, so Neil deGrasse, he just mixes everything in so well. And listen, we've seen this before with people, okay, that are absolutely super, super intelligent, all the brain power, everything up there, but they just can't communicate it to anybody to make it basically, I guess people say, dumb it down, but just bring it down so that everybody sort of, understands it. And you sort of don't look like you're a snooty, snobby, intellectual, even though maybe you are, I don't know. But there are some of those but they come. That's why Trump, I mean, when you look at the thing with Trump, okay, billionaire, right? But he resonates with the average guy working on the street, the carpenter, the bricklayer, the plumber, the electrician, just the everyday guy that has his toolbox and his helmet and his lunch pail, getting on the subway, traveling to his job, taking that half hour, 1 hour break at lunch, going back to the job, hearing the whistle at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, getting back on that train or bus or cab or car, going back home and starting that whole thing all over again. Because Trump communicates. This guy is a communicator. That's what's happened. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Thanks for watching this episode of Random Revelations with Bill Maher and Dr. Neil deGrasse. I'll leave with my final thought, which has always been, when you're right, you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Until then, take care and stay safe.